Hello and welcome back to the Borgata Casino Hotel and Spa in Atlantic City, New Jersey. We're here as we continue action in the Borgata Spring Poker Open powered by BetMGM Poker's main event, a $2,700 buy-in. We're at the final table here. We have 7 contestants left. We're playing down to 6 before we break for the evening. We'll be back to conclude the action tomorrow with the final 6, barring any kind of double knockout situation. We have 7 players left. The 7 that we have remaining have locked up $35,000 and just a little bit of change on top of that. I'm Matt McNeil, the Whitesmith, the Blacksmith, Whitesmith, the Blacksmith, any combination of those. Joined by David Two Flame Kinane. We're here, we'll be with you guys for the rest of the evening as we continue here. We don't know how long it will be. It's 1 knockout and we're done for the day. So we could be here for 1 hand. We could be here for 5 hours.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, I think you described it best before we started. Yeah, it could be very quick or it could be very long. Who knows? These stacks are pretty deep. Everyone is able to navigate post-flop, not just a bunch of pre-flop jamming. As I say that, though, we see a jam from the small blind, the shortest stack.
As we say, very first hand. It could be 1 hand. First hand, Ricardo with, what do we have here? 13?
Yeah,
14 bigs?
Seems a little big for king 6 off. But
there's a king 3 off, gets the king 6 to fold from the small blind. When Ricardo is our short stack off of now more, about 17 bigs. And as we come back from our dinner break, we will be coming back to, what was that? Was that 60K big blind?
Yes.
So we have 30K small blind, 60K big blind, 60K big blind ante. And you'll see our chip counts here. Mike Walker, Todd Lewis, Joe the Foote, as we have labeled him, Ricardo E. I don't have anyone to help me out with the pronunciations there. Mike Walker, job. Doug Klevitz, and Fareed Jatin, and Bobby Thomas, I believe, are the 7 that we have remaining here.
Yeah, a lot of capable players. They've been navigating quite well from what we've seen so far. A lot of people also willing to amp up the aggression. And I think we're going to get some good action here.
Joe the Foote with the ace queen of diamonds. We've taken to calling him Joe the Foote here on stream. Made a very, very huge hero call in a 5.2 million chip pot not long before the break.
Yeah, sick.
To eliminate a Matthew Zambanini, the Borgata Fall Poker Open main event champion. Just before the break. It's going to open the ace queen of diamonds. I did get a chance to run into Joe while we were on the dinner break. Joe wanted to shout out his family. He said that there were too many family members to name individually, and there was some level of the crazy Foote family, something along those lines that popped up in conversation.
Gotcha.
And also shout out. He said that there was some group chats that were chirping him on the side during his time on stream here today. So nice. Our chip leader, Joe, picks up a pot here, up to 5.2 and change million chips.
Yeah, hopefully he's able to quiet some of those chirps as he earned himself a huge pot. And yeah, he's going to be the chip leader and be able to put a ton of pressure on here now. With
a good bit of support, watching the stream, lurking, potentially a little bit in chat. We saw some of the comments earlier. But yeah, so that's our chip leader, Joe, and 7 playing down to 6, and we're here for, I guess, buckle up. We don't know. Could be it could be a minute. Could be hours.
I'm ready for a battle. It's not often you get to see final tables this deep. Fun to see how people navigate.
Action fold to Fareed in the small blind with his 5-4 offsuit. We've seen aggression out of Fareed in some similar spots earlier today. See how he chooses to navigate here. Those look like raising chips. That will be a raise to 170, 200,000. I missed a couple chips in that stack.
Yeah, fairly big size.
We have in the chat, shout out NJack, hashtag Team Foote. So we do have a few of them as we see in the chat, and like I said, we ran into him on dinner break and had some fun chatting about the massive hero call that has him as our chip leader, and that I'm told that the chat was just screaming at the screen as they were watching to make the call, stick the chip in, stop wasting your time, Chip, something along those lines as he put the pieces together to make that call.
Yeah, I mean, that was a sick one. I think the best way to describe that is just a great bluff and an even better call.
Yeah, we said that before, and Matthew Zambanini, and a player that put a lot of pressure on the table today. We saw a lot of 3-bets. We saw a lot of aggression from him. Obviously, success on this exact stage in the past, in this exact scenario in the past.
Right.
And a spot we'd seen him, that aggression get him paid off with the Queens versus Jacks cooler, and just the story apparently didn't add up for Joe the Foote. Made an amazing hero call, and again now chip leading, and a very fun hand to look back on even hour and a half later.
Yeah, total switch in dynamic of this final table now.
Farid had been the chip leader when we had him on the table before we were at the final table, and then had been the chip leader the entire time before that hand here, when we played from our 9 down to the 7 we currently have. And completely flipped the script, brought a new chip leader, and brought some of the consolidation up top.
Yeah.
In our chip counts.
Here we see a more passive approach in the blind v blind battles.
Action checks, folds to Doug, completes the small blind with the Queen 3 offsuit. Mike Walker checking back the 9-5 from the big blind. Ace King 9 is going to bring a pair of 9s from Mike. Queen high for Doug. I'm looking in the chat here. I see some friends of Todd in the chat. Shout out to Sherry Lewis, Todd's wife, with twins due next month. Congratulations to...
Oh, let's go.
Congratulations to the Lewis family. That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Going to be a little bit of a change in things for them, but, a very happy change, it sounds like. I hope happy and healthy for Todd. It seems like his wife, Sherry, and the soon-to-be new additions to the family.
Of course. Here it looks like Mike tossed out a bet with his 9. Got a call from the Queen high.
River, another 9. Trips for Mike.
Yeah, and maybe a slightly disguised trips, not knowing how often Mike is going to bet a 9 here.
Yeah. You might see any pair bet a flop like this sometimes. Once it checked the flop and turn, I think the 9 bet becomes a lot more reasonable.
275.
And now we do have the 9 of clubs river here, so we're going to see a barrel near pot size and a very, very quick fold from Doug, and a little bit of chips heading over to Mike Walker, up to about 3.75 million in chips.
Got to keep him honest a little bit. Blind v blind ranges are very wide. Pretty easy to bluff a little bit too much.
We get some chatter in the comments in support of Mike as well. I hope that the dinner break gave our players a chance to spread the news and spread the word to people that maybe hadn't tuned in earlier, and we get a few more of the family and friends supporting section here for the remainder of the day.
For sure, evening stream.
And certainly joining us tomorrow when we get down to our final 6 final table, I would hope as well.
Yeah, that'll be good. Should be early afternoon, I believe.
We'll get a confirmation at some point this evening. As long as we don't go too late, I would expect about a noon restart, 12 to 12:15 restart, 12:30 to 12:45 stream going live. Joe the Foote with the King 10 of diamonds going to raise up to 130,000 here. Action on Ricardo is going to fold.
Bobby grabbing some calling
Bobby
chips.
Thomas looks like we're going to get a call with the ace-9 offsuit, it looks like. That was Bobby Thomas making the call, not Farid. We'll see what Farid chooses to do. Gonna get out of the way. We've seen some aggression here. Nothing way out of line from Farid here. And there we go. We got it back up. Bobby with the ace-9 offsuit, making the call in the hijack. I'm gonna fold through our blind, so we'll be heads up going to a flop. You see, Joe, even though he's behind with the king high, 53%, because we do have an ace out, and the king on the board is going to change those percentages. You see 88% for Joe now on the flop. King 6-5, 5-6 of hearts, no hearts in anybody's hand, so no flush possibilities for our two players right now. Joe going to check his pair of kings over to Bobby, who is going to take the bait and bet out 100,000, about a quarter pot.
Yeah, relatively small bet. I'm not sure how Joe wants to approach this in terms of playing a big pot with a middling pair, or middling top pair.
We have the call from Joe, Queen of Spades on the turn. I like the bet from Bobby because if someone is going to check it back, sometimes you can take it down, just a little bit of aggression.
Yeah.
Gives him the option now, depending on whatever may fall, to choose how much aggression we want to continue with.
Yeah, deny some queen high type stuff that has a lot of equity for pretty cheap.
Some, maybe some aces, some things that don't want to bloat a pot or get called down and be facing in position playback.
And Bobby fires again for a decent size, but
240,000 into a pot just over 600,000. So a little bit less than 50%, maybe about 40-ish%, a little more.
Yeah, and I think Joe's just going to try to call down here. Not sure if he wants to do more than that.
The 8 of diamonds brings in very, very unlikely straight draws in this situation. So not a card that should scare Joe. We're going to check to Bobby, and we're going to see if Bobby chooses the aggressive route here. And he is grabbing chips. We're going to get a triple barrel.
That's 575,000.
575 from Bobby Thomas here. And Joe didn't like that. He was really hoping with his king to be able to just see the river, see it on the.
I mean, this does suck because he isn't beating value bets, right? Like this is always just going to be a better king at the very worst for value.
Yeah.
So in reality, it is a bluff catcher. It is nice blocking a king, like your opponent not having a king is pretty big here.
Yeah.
But it's tough.
You're good.
We get it. We get the call.
And I think the sizing scheme is what is really tempting a call there, is that the flop bet was small, turn bet was relatively small, and same with that river bet was only about half pot-ish.
It was slightly increasing, and enough that a hand strength of his, or a hand of his strength is, if you think that maybe like an ace-queen even might have come along and is now value betting that, targeting tens or jacks or something like that.
Yeah.
There's logic that we could dive into for hands that could be value betting like that.
Potentially.
His hand's just too strong to let it go without a significant size up, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And a big call there. Another big pot for Joe the Foote. Up to 6.4 million in chips, up over the 100 big blind mark again as our blinds have gone up, and getting a little separation at the top of our chip stacks.
Absolutely, and he's going to be able to use that to his advantage as Farid sits two to his left.
We've got Bobby's golfing buddies in the chat. We've got comments for Farid and Ricardo. A lot of people just all over the place here. We've got. It looks like fans. I think I've seen every name so far since we've been back on the news stream coming off the dinner break.
Let's go.
Oh wow, we're gonna have some collisions here. We have Farid, our second place chip stack, opening pocket tens from the hijack. Doug wakes up with aces in the cutoff.
Yeah.
Off of 3.3 million in chips.
I mean, they're over 50 big blinds deep. Doug is gonna want to flat a lot of hands, like maybe even like tens, jacks, but I think aces is just one you're going to be wanting to get in.
You're certainly going to want to get more chips in and not encourage, because of how deep we are, you could see additional flats behind. We're not going to try to encourage multi-way poker here. We do get the 3-bet to 355,000, and this is exactly why. You know, Todd would also have looked to see a flop here, you would think, with the 7s if we just tried to trap the aces there.
Right.
And we'll see what shot Todd chooses to do, but 7s in the small blind here. We see the fold. It's a tough one facing the 3-bet there. Which folds back to Fareed.
Yeah, it's a lot of chips to 4-bet, try to get in here.
Yeah, and this is a hand that's kind of right in between. It's too strong. It feels too strong to fold. It doesn't feel like a hand that's going to want a 4-bet to get it in a lot of cases. A lot of times we think we'll see a flop here. But Fareed's chosen aggressive lines sometimes, and also playing out of positions. You know, we've seen sometimes if people have been uncomfortable in certain spots, we might have seen a fold. We do see the call. We will go to the heads-up flop. The aces for Doug, 10s for Fareed. Jack 4-2, 2 hearts, both of them holding a club and a heart. So the heart redraw would go in favor of Doug here. Not a terrible flop for 10s. A very good flop for aces. Certainly jacks are in the range of flatting behind as well. But the 4 and the deuce shouldn't impact our play too much here.
Yeah, I think queens might even potentially be in the range of flatting a 3-bet.
We're going to see a bet here. 180 into 860.
Proceeding pretty small, which I think is standard in 3-bet pots here with the final tables.
Yeah, and not too dangerous of a board. Doesn't need too much protection. Doesn't need too much protection for the aces here, having the backdoor heart. And not going to take too much later to get more chips in. We are going to see a call. Again, the 10's too strong to fold here on this board, and this board texture as well.
Absolutely, with a heart as well.
We have 1.2 million in the pot, 5 of clubs on the turn. A little bit interesting. Having both the ace of hearts and the ace of clubs takes away the ace-high flush draws. So some of the hands that might have continued with flush draw potential or backdoor flush draw potential, a lot of those are going to be out of the window for what Doug would be facing. So you would think he would feel his hand shouldn't need too much protection. Now we're looking at extracting chips.
Even the 10s are blocking a decent amount of flush draws as well. So kind of the same effect working there.
510,000 from here.
Sizing up a little bit, clearly indicating that he's trying to get stacks in here on the river for about a pot size, or
we have 40% on the turn, so we want 20-40.
Yeah, and I guess that'd be a
full pot-ish.
Pretty big size up on the river if he wants to play for stacks, but I don't even know if you're that comfortable.
We see Fareed using a time chip here. Our players are on a shot clock, so they have 20 seconds to act pre-flop, 30 seconds for each subsequent action. I believe there's a caveat for a 3-bet situation pre-flop as well. And then they have these time extension chips that if they use all of them, I don't believe they replenish. We may get some more tomorrow. We'll find out then.
Yeah.
Jack of spades on the river. If there's a card that Fareed wants to take a stab at, this is a good one to try and pretend he has, because it's certainly plenty of jacks, suited jacks especially, in his open peel range, and that would play it this way. He just has so much showdown value, though, in his mind. He's going to want to check.
Yeah,
Doug,
I don't mind the check, honestly. I think you do have just a pretty good hand that can potentially bluff catch. And this Jack river is a pretty tempting river to bluff catch with 10s here. I guess it is a kind of a question, how often is he,
triple
really,
barreling
yes,
this off?
I think the size is also going to be a big indicator of if overpairs are in this range.
There may be a little bit of concern from Doug's standpoint, considering, again, the Jack would now have been, would now be trips and may not want to barrel into the Jack 10 suited, the Queen Jack suited, King Jack suited, Ace Jack suited. Some of the hands that might have opened and chosen to proceed with where we're at.
Yeah, for 2 small bets on the flop and turn, they're definitely going to continue. And
We are going
definitely
to get a good size, 1.25 million here.
seemingly confident that he has the best hand, and he is correct in this instance.
And we kind of went 20, 40, 60-ish in terms of the bet size in here.
Yeah, and I think Fareed might be a little bit suspicious because if he realizes that there's a pot behind, is he going to be betting Jack X for full pot and just try to get all the money? Or what else would use this size? And I guess it's a question of, overpairs using this instead of Jack X.
Bluffs. It's a fun sizing because you could choose a bluff here that leaves yourself, 1 million behind is still going to be 15, 18 bigs.
Right.
So you're still leaving yourself a good amount if you're going to bluff at this size. It's not an easy call for Fareed as a bluff catcher, but it's also that makes it a good value bet size because it's a good kind of in-between sizing where, like, if you're bluffing with it, okay, it's tough to call, but if you're betting it for value, it's not so much that it's going to scare Fareed away instantly.
Yeah, and also seemingly blocking some hands like that would potentially barrel off some flush draws that might.
Doug is blocking a lot of the flush draws that would call, so yeah, this is basically targeting this hand, this 10s, 9s, 10s, queens.
Yeah, I more mean Fareed putting him on a bluff here,
Yep.
like potentially like ace 10 of clubs, ace 10 of hearts, things like that.
I do think we'd be looking a little bit more at the higher side bluffs, in my opinion. Just because I don't know if we've been seeing the 3-bets from the ace 10 in this kind of structure.
Yeah, they've been taking the passive approach mostly.
We've seen, I mean, even the ace queens have been flatting a good amount in these kind of chip distributions.
Finds the fold, nice job.
Fareed is going to let it go, and yeah, definitely a tough spot, not an easy fold. We saw how many time chips he used. Makes the correct decision, as we can see, and a very, very nice chip up here. What's that now? 4.5 million even for Doug Klevitz?
Overtakes Fareed, slipping down a little bit on the charts.
Kind of flip-flops the spots on the charts here with Fareed, and 75 bigs for Doug. A very, very big hand here early after our dinner break.
A little bit more separation between the chip stacks at this point in the final table. We started earlier where it was like the bottom 2 stacks were around 20 big blinds and everyone else was 50 to 60 plus. But people are getting a little bit more separated now as the blinds increase.
Doesn't take much for us to bring it right back together. Ricardo, not that I'm rooting one way or the other anymore. Ricardo, a double through Joe, would bring Ricardo and Todd neck and neck, would bring Joe right back down to the pile a little bit if that situation were to happen. We're not far off. It is still very much a situation where Joe has to be a little bit careful with the kind of pressure he might apply. There's going to be times where it's going to be very open and available for a number of the different stacks.
Oh yeah, the other stacks are still deep enough to be able to fight back in some capacity, so you can't go too crazy.
Mike going to open the ace-3 from the cutoff. We get a flat by Joe from the small blind with the queen-7 of clubs. And Ricardo, really only option here is going to go all in with the 9s. And it should get through as we see the hands now.
Yeah.
Big share of players.
And Ricardo being the short stack here, a very, very good squeeze spot. We've talked a little bit about squeeze spots before, but he actually has the hand where, he wants to make the squeeze, and he's not necessarily going to hate everything that could call him behind.
I kind of like this this flat from Joe to begin with. I think it's kind of an underrated spot that some people might not find. I think just playing pots as the chip leader is a pretty good idea, and you're going to be flatting some strength there, so you can flat a little wider as well. That might be a hand that can slide in, and you can lead on some flops and be able to take it down.
And what that kind of hand there, as we see Ricardo up back over 1.2 million, over 20 big blinds. But what that hand could also lead to down the line is the ability to flat to trap and tee up some of these squeezes behind.
Right.
With some of the top of range hands, your queens, kings, aces kind of hands.
Yeah, we haven't seen it from those super top of range hands yet, but we've seen the ace-queen suited ones.
Multiple
So
times.
people are definitely willing to flat and likely call off from raises or jams behind.
For those joining us in the area, there are still other tournaments firing. I believe there's one more day one of the Mirror Mystery. There's a $580 Mirror Mystery going on right now. There's a night flight that I believe is also still in late registration. I'm a little out of touch with the time on some of the other events here as we're down in the poker room. Those are up in the conference center right near the poker room.
Right.
So we're in a different room. When we were on break, we weren't necessarily crossing over and interacting with the other event. There's a $580 buy-in, I believe it is, Mirror Mystery going on. And that's a structure that mirrors the mystery bounty payouts with the payouts of the tournament.
Yeah, pretty fun format. Be able to flip for some big money.
We have a hijack open from Mike. It looks like a big blind defend from Bobby here with the ace-2. Queen, queen, 5, 2 spades and a heart. Doesn't really hit anyone. Actually, going to check to our pre-flop aggressor, Mike.
I imagine Mike's going to be wanting to bet a lot on this board.
This is very much a board that's going to lean towards the pre-flop aggression. And as we see, it does get the fold, and Mike picks up a small pot here with the 8 high.
Yeah, ace-deuce potentially a hand that could 3-bet pre-flop too. Having nice card removal from some of the middling hands that might raise fold.
And also against the late position open, not the worst idea, but in this instance, also certainly not a problem to defend if you're trying to avoid large pots, a little bit of pot control at times here. And again, with the depth that we have, and a couple stacks inching down under the 2 million mark, Ricardo right on 20 big blinds now.
Oh yeah, we've talked about the great structure of this tournament, 90-minute levels. I mean, you can kind of really pick your spots and be selective about where you want to flip and risk your chips.
Mike again with the queen-jack offsuit, early position. This is going to go in the muck, and I do like this later position. We'll see that opening a lot.
Yeah, 7-handed into Farid, who has a decent big stack.
Ricardo, 20 big blinds on the button, is not going to open his 6-3, so we've folded to our blinds. We see Bobby on, what do we have, 31 and change big blinds?
Just about.
Going to make an ace-8 offsuit limp into Farid's big blind, who we see with the 8-3 of hearts. And we've seen blind versus blind aggression from Farid. It looks like we're going to see that again here as he's grabbing some raising chips.
Yeah, fighting back a little bit. Bobby likely limping a lot of his range here, being the covered stack in the small blind.
And I like using the hands that end in 3 and 2 in the big blind, because the types of hands that are going to be more likely to give the big blind a walk will often have those. So you were talking about card removal. Having the 3 in his hand is not necessarily going to interact too often with the limping range of Bobby.
Yeah, it's also nice having suited 8-3 here when you're 30 big blinds deep. Finds the fold, though.
We're going to fold an ace blind versus blind here to some aggression. And Farid will certainly take that. I'm a little bit surprised, but at the same time, with the chip stack, with the being out of position, a lot of players you're going to see looking for spots where they're going to be more comfortable, and that might not be one for Bobby right there. And again, we've said it a lot over the weeks here at the Borgata. A lot of times players, especially on stream, if they haven't been here before, are looking to find poker that they're comfortable with to play.
Right.
And that's always been my suggestion. You know, if I'm talking to people about playing on stream, is play with what you feel good with. Don't try and take yourself out of that comfort zone.
Yeah, and people have seemed stuck with that today. I mean, we saw a similar blind versus blind hand earlier where ace-5 offsuit limp jammed for about 30 boot blinds or something and got the ace-10 offsuit to fold. So different ways to approach it.
We see Todd open here the ace-deuce of clubs, early position. He's going to fold to Doug in the big blind with the king-6. We talked about this as a candidate at times to 3-bet. Kind of weird with the chip distribution and the position for the raise. We are going to see the fold here. Again, it's a hand that it's a good candidate to 3-bet, but I like the fold in this instance just from, again, one of these smaller stacks early position open here. Later position, that's one where I'd love to see a little bit more 3-betting, but I like the fold in this specific circumstance. Even though, as we look at it, there's a good chance that the 3-bet would have worked.
Yeah, it can be a little bit intimidating, especially against the early positions, and sometimes you'll see that suited hands are even preferred versus the earlier positions just because they're stronger ranges. But, you know, certainly a candidate that you can 3-bet with. Easy to fold when you face a 4-bet jam.
I went to the gym and did push-ups.
We have... Nice.
That's what he did on break, I think he said.
Yep, dinner break plans.
Love it.
Get some of that extra energy out and maybe some of that nervous energy if
Just
some
head out
people
in
may
the
have.
parking lot and start ripping burpees.
A little bit in my past there. We'll leave those in the. We'll leave those where they belong.
Yeah, I never want to do another burpee in my life.
Action is going to fold to Fareed on the button with Queen 10. I expect we'll see an open from Fareed here.
Yeah, definitely on the button. Besides,
It's like 140, 145.
Yeah, despite the bigger stacks behind him, just good enough hand this deep.
Yeah, we're deep enough. We can't be that scared of the stacks behind us to not open something like this here. And Fareed, from what we've seen, certainly will take the aggressive line a lot of times. Just and is not gonna back down or play timid under the spotlight here.
Right, he seems comfortable in some of these aggressive nodes.
We see Doug from the small blind with the king-8 of clubs is going to take a flop. Jack-8-2 all spades brings a pair of 8s for Doug. A gut shot for Fareed, who also has 2 cards over Doug's pair. No spades for anybody, so no flush possibilities unless they both get the same board flush.
Yeah, a little bit of connection for both. I think a small bet for Fareed is kind of cool. Probably wouldn't get the king-8 to fold, but have some equity.
We are going to see the C-bet 160,000 into 410.
So, yeah, a little bit of bigger size, 35, 40.
Just under 40%. And as stated, not going to be enough to get the king-8 to leave as it stands right now. 6 of diamonds on the turn, and you have to think if the king-8 thought they were ahead on the flop, that they still aren't feeling bad about this turn. But it'll depend a little bit if Fareed decides to step up the aggression here with potentially a larger bet.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think that Fareed probably isn't too happy to try to go 3 streets with Jack-X without a spade, so if he faces a bet, I think it represents maybe a little bit more strength besides maybe his best Jack-X.
Does choose to check back.
I think this is a good idea, kind of to take your equity.
5 of diamonds on the river. You see the check mark with Doug. We're going to get a check here.
Yeah, I really like the check from Doug.
I think Doug is going to often play this as a check call. I don't know how many sizes Fareed is going to choose here that's going to get Doug to fold given the action. But there are certainly some.
Yeah.
And we'll see if Fareed chooses to try to find aggression. He does not. The check back with the queen high. The king 8 for Doug is going to take this down. And a nice little 730,000 chip pot over to Doug in the small blind, which will bring him up to 4.8 million chips. Doug Klevitz up into comfortably second place now at our table. A little bit behind Joe the Foote, but has now chipped up very comfortably. And what did we have there? Was that 80 big blinds that we saw for Doug?
Just about, I think. Yeah, that was a pretty interesting hand. I was curious what type of sizing he might have used on the river there.
Yeah.
I mean, likely doesn't have a flush, so depends how greedy he wants to get with his Jack X, which I think this 8 probably would have been able to sniff out a bluff there.
I think so. And I think we've seen the aggressive line appropriately from Fareed, and also, again, similarly disciplined there. It's a spot where you can only win the hand by bluffing that, unless it's very, very specifically a random 10-9 suited. Like, there's very specific, like, one-off hands that he might beat. But it isn't really looking at his queen 10 with showdown value, and must have decided, I can't tell the story. It's not worth taking the spot in this time.
Right. You might not even need, like, a spade in your hand, because flushes aren't really in this line, I don't think, too frequently.
Yeah.
So, you know...
Yeah.
I think it's fine to bluff about it, but he, I think, pretty accurately assessed the situation that he might have not been folding much there.
I believe we just had our dealer change as well. We had Lash in the box coming back from break. We have one of my favorite things to say, Billy in the box.
Billy back in the box.
Love seeing some of the foot emojis popping through the chat as well.
That's awesome.
Yep. I hope that sticks with him. I hope that sticks with you, Joe. It's going to be Joe the Foote. That is middle name, actually. Given middle name is the.
Yeah, got to change that now.
Yeah.
Looks like Todd's going to defend the 10-4 suited. Or no, he folded, okay.
You get a blind on blind raise fold.
Yeah, pretty big size from the small blind.
Yep.
Player is pretty locked in now after the dinner break compared to the very start of this final table where they kind of were pretty chatty, getting to know each other maybe, or recapping some things from earlier in the tournament. But now that we're down to 7, I think after the dinner break, it sets in a little bit more that you're playing for a lot of money, so people are focused.
We've seen the payouts. We'll run through them again real quick. I believe 7th currently has 35,000 and just a little bit of change locked up. And again, we were looking for 1 knockout to go to our final table 6. If you make that final 6 for the final stream tomorrow, that's a guaranteed $43,500, which is quite a chunk of change on a $2,700 buy-in.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, not quite, but getting close to 20x your buy-in by making it to tomorrow. And the ladders are only going up from there. We're going to see an open from the button from Mike Walker. Joe the Foote defending the 9-4 of clubs in the big blind. And the 9-6-6 flop is going to give Joe top pair here. Mike on the button with the ace-queen. A very, very strong hand and not a great flop at all, having no diamond either.
Yeah, pretty easy check back, I think.
Makes a good check back. King of diamonds on the turn gets a little bit interesting, because you're going to be opening a lot of your kings. We'll see how Joe chooses to play against the check back. We're going to get a check again. No diamond for either player. But Mike, with the king on board, you are opening a lot of kings from your button. So we could see we're not going to see. You could see some people looking to represent the king.
I think a lot of King X would also check back on the flop, so I think there's likely a portion of your range that would want to bet relatively small there, but
Sure.
Ace Queen maybe a little bit too high up in range. And he's just going to go straight to showdown. Then 9X is going to be kind of annoyed that he doesn't get much
All the checks, ace,
value.
queen. We see a little bit of frustration from Mike, but like you can't be mad about that. You
Yeah,
know,
just a
it's,
bad
it's
run
just
out.
And didn't cost him anything.
Yeah.
Didn't cost him anything. He wasn't going to get a fold with a bet at any stretch there, I don't think. So a little chip up for Joe to 6.3 and change million chips.
Ooh.
We're gonna see our VPIP numbers from the day. As you can see, both Matt Zambanini and the Salbanian,
Awesome.
Albanian Sal, on here as well. And Sal did not have a whole lot to work with throughout the day and got coolered off a bit by Matt.
Yes, he was eliminated quite early, so not a huge sample size for that VPIP.
And we see Farid Jatin has shown selective aggression. We saw a little bit more aggression before we got to our final 9, but as we bet at a larger table, selective aggression, and it has felt like controlled aggression, and just a couple bad spots.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with how he's played
Yeah.
so far. He's shown a lot of things to be capable of.
I really like the style that he looks to play, and we've seen the ability to be aggressive, the willingness to be aggressive.
130.
130 is the bet.
We're going to see an open from Mike Walker here with the Queen Jack of Diamonds in the cutoff. Just going to fold over to our short stack Ricardo. Ace 7 of Hearts offsuit from the big blind. We've seen Ricardo get aggressive and get some jams in these types of late position opens. Curious to see how he'll play the Ace 7 here.
Yeah, 20 bigs, like, you're likely going to want to jam some hands here,
Yeah.
but it's kind of a lot of big blinds to jam with Ace 7 offsuit.
Yeah.
You probably want some more suited hands to have a bit more equity when you're called.
Does just make the call. We are going to see the heads-up flop of King, King 8. Rainbow flop. Not a whole lot for anybody. Mike with the Queen Jack in the pre-flop raise is going to check back the option.
Yeah, and I wonder how Ricardo is going to view that, because presumably it seems like a board that the pre-flop raiser would likely bet pretty frequently on.
Ricardo's going to check again, and it's now checked to Mike twice. Ricardo the gut shot here.
Yeah, Ricardo might be pretty confident about his ace high at this point.
Well, not anymore. The Queen on the river is the yeah. If we're looking at this exact type of hand that would be doing this, Queen 10, Queen Jack that doesn't want to see bet get peeled by this type of ace now improves, and we're going to see some value from Mike. And
like
really,
if we saw like the deuce of clubs, like I think he might have called a small bet.
He is going to get a snap call though from Ricardo and
Wow.
see the pair of queens on the river and. Little 650K pot. And we say little, it's not that little. 650K pot goes over to Mike Walker, who's up over 4 million in chips.
Yeah, 10 bigs.
Ricardo down to, you can see, 14 or so big blinds, just under 900,000. And at a stack depth that we've seen Ricardo for much of the day, hasn't really been able to get those doubles, really been able to accumulate. But very, very comfortable for him. We've seen him we've seen him in this depth a lot, and been able to find his times to accumulate small amounts of chips.
Yeah, hasn't rushed it. Has taken his spots in the big blind when given a good price. Finding the jams.
I love it. Already changed his contact in my phone. I assume this is the Joey the Foote. I'm loving this. I hope that's a nickname for life after something like this.
It's pretty good. Mike with the ace 3 of hearts. Gonna pop it up.
130,000 to go. We've got multiple different sports memorabilia going on here. We have one, looks to be Knicks and Mr. Met on the same shirt. We've got a Miami Marlins right here on Joe the Foote. I believe we had a Knicks hat as well.
I was trying to figure out what was on the shirts, the Mr. Marlin, okay.
The shirt was Mr. Met.
Or Mr. Matt. Okay.
The most overrated mascot in all of sports. We're going to see the 3-bet from Joe the Foote with the pair of 3s from his button here.
Yeah, kind of ambitious.
And using the chips that he has, we haven't seen a whole lot of 3-bets from Joe. And seeing exactly this distribution, I mean, this is a pretty good place to take it and getting a chance to use those chips to his advantage. And we are, based off the removal of those time chips, we are going to get the fold from Mike here.
Yeah, really interesting decision to 3-bet that hand.
We're on a button. We can certainly take that to the flop. But if we have the chips, we haven't seen too much of the aggression from him yet. We're definitely going to get a little bit of extra folds from other players, we would think, in a lot of potentially borderline, potentially close spots. Just so we haven't seen a whole lot of that out of Joe yet today. So I like using the lack of history of 3-bets here to his advantage and grab some chips here.
Yeah, worked out.
Up to over 6.5, almost 6.6 million for Joe the Foote. Up to almost 110 big blinds. Yep, we do have a Knicks hat to go with the Knicks sleeve on one of the other, on I believe that's Todd's arm. And I would like to give people some grief, but not looking great for the Philly side of things currently on that front. But I will go back to Mr. Met, the most overrated mascot in all of sports.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm a fraud of a Phillies fan, so I don't care too much about the Mets rivalry. But I know it exists, so
it
at least
does
I'm
exist. I have worked in Manhattan with many Mets fans for years and or over the years, I should say, and have enjoyed some of the back and forth of that rivalry. But we have the Fanatic, so you don't got to worry about it. The Mets like a discount store Fanatic.
The only Met that I think I could name is like David Wright.
Okay, very good player
from like whatever the early 2000s.
Yeah, a very, very good player and absolutely crushed us for many years.
Not much action there. 6-4 suited, raise from the cutoff, takes it down. Relatively standard for the big stack into a deep big blind.
Eight, 7 of spades here for Todd. Gonna take a moment. We'll see what he chooses to do.
Yeah, definitely worth a thought, but I really like the fold here. I think it can be
a little too early position for the open, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly. You know, like the fold.
It can be easy to take those hands, but once you're in this stage of the tournament, you just really want the high cards.
And when we're on 30 big blinds, you're deep enough that you're not committing that much of your stack, but you're also deep enough that people are going to play back at you a little bit more than if you're opening early position off of 12,
right.
15 big blinds in a lot of cases. Action's going to fold to Fareed in the small blind with the Queen 9 offsuit here. Again, based on the history, we've seen a lot of raises. We'll see how he chooses to proceed here. That looks like a limp. As Fareed will now limp into the covering stack in the big blind. A lot of the action we'd seen before had been him with a chip advantage in the blind versus blind situations.
Right. I think now that you're covered by the big blind by a pretty wide margin, you're going to be wanting to limp, I would guess, most of your hands in your range.
And we're going to see the flop here as Doug checks the 8-5, and the 8-7-4 gives Doug top pair with a gut shot. Fareed connected closely enough that, depending on sizing, we may see a continuation from him if we have chips going here. Fareed looks like he's reaching for chips.
Check.
Excuse me, then checks. It looked like he was reaching for some chips to put out a bet there, and then decides to go for the check.
He thought about it.
Doug top pair with a gut shot is going to put in the bet, and that looks to be 80,000, just above the minimum here, just above one big.
Yeah, and without a heart, it's kind of hard to continue.
Yep.
And he agrees.
Nice little pot. And the blind versus blind goes the way of Doug Klevitz. Doug up to 4.8 million in chips, almost 4.9 million in chips here.
Yeah, we've been talking about Joe with the big stack, but Doug's not really too far behind.
81 bigs is a heck of a stack to have at just about any point in the tournament after you go below a starting stack there. After the starting stack's below 100. Mystery hand for Ricardo is going to go into the muck. We've seen Ricardo a lot over the series here, and Ricardo is a very, very deliberate player. Even without the shot clocks, we've seen, again, the pauses for a few seconds on just about every decision. We do want to highlight, as we can see in the shot now, they are on a shot clock. And this is designed, and this is not any shot towards Ricardo by any stretch, but this is designed to be ahead of tanking. So we are on this 20% pre-flop shot clock, and there's a level of strategy that goes in of just, you know, again, kind of going back to the comfort zone of using an amount of time that you're comfortable with, but it is specifically designed to be ahead of any of the, you know, what some people might look at as egregious tanking that we'll see at times. And they have individual time chips that will give them time extensions. Post-flop, they'll be getting 30 seconds per action. Again, with the ability to use these extensions. Once they've used them, they lose them. They do not get... They might get more after a break, but I do not believe so. I believe this may be what they have for the rest of the day.
Gotcha, yeah. We see here a bet from Mike with the 2 overs and the gut shot.
9-7-7 on this board. I like the bet, I like the stab, and you have things that you can draw to. Not going to be enough to get Doug out of here. 10 on the turn's a fun card, because now Mike is top pair with the gut shot. Doug is 2 overs with the same gut shot, which is open-ended, but the covers the same draw, and then also has higher draws over cards. Just a lot of fun board interaction here.
Yeah, very spicy, but I'm not sure how big Mike would want to go in position.
We are going to get that looks like a lead from Doug.
Yeah, that's a interesting play.
235 into 330, so 2/3 pot bet. And you saw Mike's eyes go a little wide there as he's seeing this, looking at the size. That's a large bet there.
Yeah, I think oftentimes when you see these leads, it's going to be for a smaller size. This big size is quite concerning, and I think the Jack-10 is already in a slightly awkward spot, but when you're in position and you have the redraw, I don't think you can fold just yet.
Yeah, it feels almost combo draw-y, as you might see. We do get the call. Jesus. 8 of diamonds on the river brings both of them to straight.
Oh, no.
Doug Klevitz with the higher straight. Now the board pair and the diamonds.
The flush draw, that might save him.
And the diamonds coming in, I think will limit any kind of raise out of Mike here. But I think it's just going to be a matter of, again, we were talking before about extraction, about what size is going to be the decision.
I mean, no diamond in hand for Doug doesn't really make him want to bet like pot here, right? I mean, he has to be somewhat concerned.
We heard, what is that, 4 or 5? 540. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit smaller than like 66%.
Yeah, little over, bit over half pot. Good bit over half pot, 60-some%.
Yeah, and I mean, Jack-10.
I mean, I'm never getting away from Jack-10 here.
Having the 10 of diamonds feels like kind of good.
I'm never getting away from this. I don't think this is a board that we really can raise. I think this is just a cry, call, and then cry when we see the... Yep.
Would a 7 value bet? Probably not. It's tough.
I don't know. It's too strong to fold, though.
Yeah. especially for that
Would
size.
a 6 value bet?
Ever since you bluffed me, you win
Who
every-
knows, man? Poker's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, and you know, we've seen some different dynamics at different times throughout the day, throughout the stream.
I go sometimes.
I mean, having the jack there is just it feels too strong to fold.
Yeah.
And we're not sizing up to a point. You know, it's a good sized bet. We're not sizing up to a point where it's as polarizing as
87%.
you know, boat plus or flush. You know, targeting these kinds of straight
I flip
hands.
for it in my head. And
I do think it is better to have the 10 of diamonds as
coin
well,
bent the wrong
as
way.
opposed to another 10. So that's pretty notable, blocking some of the flushes.
Big chip up again for Doug Klevitz, up to 5.8 million in chips.
maybe you had the
Gonna bring him up,
13%.
getting within striking distance of Joe's
Yeah,
chip
wow.
lead. And Mike, even with the hit, still on 3 million in chips, 50 big blinds. Like, yeah, it's a hit. It doesn't feel good, but we're still 50
I
big
also thought
blinds
he had
deep.
the 87%, but after this,
And sitting dead even with Fareed here, third and fourth in chips.
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
He's leveling us, bro. You guys good? You guys good? Could be, could be.
I gave him a fine dime, like 3 minutes. Jeez.
I don't want to, man.
Somewhat notable at this table is Ricardo now
Brother, what's up?
in early position,
Probably
going to
gonna
get
team
hit with
the
the
guys
big
watching.
blind and the
Probably
big
gonna
blind
team the
ante
guys
soon.
watching.
It's going to bring him
You got me-
down closer to the open shoving range. Some more at risk, more variance coming in the future for some of the middling stacks.
We're going to see Mike right here with the king jack, raising the small blind, just about 3x, just shy of 3x.
Not like you though.
We'll take that down. No defend from Todd. So after the hit, a little chip back up for Mike. Picks up a couple blinds there,
Oh, yeah.
You got talent.
and back up over that 3 million mark.
Gotta be good if you're related to you.
He's in business.
Like real business.
Huh?
Like real business?
Yeah.
What does he do?
Well, he head of investor relations for a fund.
Oh,
a fund.
okay.
So yeah. I said that's way better than poker, my brother.
Yeah.
In terms of
Right.
financial freedom, anyway.
Some chatter at the table, springing back up.
Doing all right.
Quick fold for Fareed, the queen 10 offsuit. We might have not seen that earlier in the final table, but with Joe in the big blind, he has to play a relatively tight range. So I kind of like the fold.
Action will fold to Todd in the small blind with the queen 3 offsuit. Again, facing the big stack in the big blind. And it is going to go in the bin.
Yeah, chooses not
Joe
to battle.
getting the walk and
Did he flash it? He flashed
smiles
it?
as he flips the 4-3.
All right.
Looking at the chat, the question, is this live or a replay? Technically neither. We are live, but we're on a 30-minute delay. So everything that's happening here is happening right behind us in the Borgata in Atlantic City. Everything that you see on stream will have happened just about 30 minutes before it is presented on the BetMGM YouTube channel here with us.
Yeah, you're live with me and Whitesmith. You're 30 minutes behind the footage with us.
We are watching the same delay that you will see. Again, we had Chris from BetMGM on before the dinner break, formerly part of the gaming integrity, and not his department for us, but part of the overall concept within gaming integrity is we do not see anything as it's happened. We have no access to the feed of the active hands and cards. So we're watching on the same delay that everyone is here. As we see Fareed open the King Jack from under the gun 1. And a King Jack from Mike as well. His is suited in the cutoff.
Yeah, maybe a hand that you could 3-bet at some frequency.
330.
And this is going to be one of those frequencies as we hear him announce the raise to 330,000. 5.5 big blinds.
Yeah, they're just like deep enough to where
We get a lot of play. We get a lot of options.
I think we can find these 3 bets.
Both of our players on around 50 big blinds coming into the hand. And it will fold back over to our original raiser Fareed. The King Jack offsuit doesn't tend to be a hand that a lot of people like to play out of position.
It's just going to be one of the worst hands that you open from early position. Like, you probably aren't opening King 10 off here, so whenever you face a 3-bet, I think a good idea to have in your head is, yeah, fold the worst hands you open usually.
Yeah, and we see that from Fareed, avoiding any conflict in the spot that's not on his terms. And we see a chip count here for the remaining 7 players at the Spring Poker Open at the Borgata's main event championship. As you can see, powered by BetMGM Poker. Chip leader Joe the Foote with 112 big blinds, 6.7 million chips. Followed by Doug Klevitz, Mike Walker, Fareed Jatine, Robert, Bobby Thomas, Todd Lewis, and Ricardo E. is what we'll go with, because we are not doing the last name pronunciation, having butchered that myself many, many times, even listening directly to him trying to get it correct.
Haven't even tried. Don't plan on it. Fareed with the ace-king in early position.
We're going to get the min raise this time. We've seen a few raises go above the 2x on this table. A lot of tables we've seen have been the 2x sizing. Deeper, I'm not surprised we get a little bit larger. But in this case, just the 2x from Fareed under the gun.
Yeah, he is off of less than 40 bigs, it seems, so, or maybe a little bit more.
Little bit more. 45, between 45 and 50. No resistance. Small pot for Fareed, as he's back up over that 3 million chip mark.
I'm still getting used to counting the chips.
As we're looking at it, we see the light blue chips are $5,000. The pink chips are $25,000. Well, $25,000, but worth $25,000. The yellow worth $100,000.
Couldn't sleep last night.
Yeah, I didn't sleep that good either.
Not to be confused with the time chips that are behind their stacks.
Which are worth 30 seconds.
Woke up with a headache too.
No, that didn't happen to me, thank God.
But I'm wondering if it's because of what you're describing, the oxygenation.
Horrible, yeah.
I was wondering why I had a headache.
Action folds to Bobby Thomas in the small blind of 25 big blinds. Is going to give Fareed the walk.
Good there. All right. Gentlemen, last is back, guys.
Looks like
Shady's back.
we have another swap in the box here. Billy leaving the box, Lash back in the box. You mentioned early in the first part of the stream, but as we have the dealers here, we like to shout out the dealers as well. You know, a lot of them, they get as excited about being on these streamed feature tables as a lot of the players.
Yeah.
So shout out to Lash.
They do a great job at keeping us in track for these streams.
Yeah, they've got a lot going on here. They're the ones who are trying to make sure that the cards hit the box. They're in charge of the shot clock, and of course all the action, a lot of the counting that we're seeing on stream.
Yeah, they're not just dealing how they would normally at the table. They're getting instructions from production as well. It's a lot of moving parts.
So shout out to Lash in the box. When I spoke to him a little bit earlier, he wanted to send some recognition to his brother. As we mentioned, Patrick Olson, a dealer in the Washington area, just had, I believe he said, rotator cuff surgery today. So shout out to Lash and family, and speedy recoveries to Patrick.
Yeah, I hope he's doing all right. think I would have liked to see an open from Joe there. Although Doug is quite deep himself, maybe not actually. I hadn't seen that.
Yeah.
Into anyone else's big blind, I probably would have liked to open that, but I get the fold there.
Slim Shady. Slim Shady, you're a rapper in your free time? you look like a rapper in your free time. Huh? Throw a little line out there. Come on. Throw us a line.
It's got a freestyle.
Come on, 3-second line.
Dude, I start rapping and they're gonna shut the stream down.
Oh no.
Oh no, we would turn you up, Lash. We would
Yeah.
turn it up for you.
We would turn the mic up, give you a beat.
No 3-second line for the stream?
Nothing for you, dude.
He knows his lane.
Spit something.
I know that I'm good, but not that good.
Gotcha.
I know that I'm good.
Off stream, you got me, right? I'll throw you the beat.
I'll give it a try.
Off stream, you got it. All right.
Love it.
10 seconds.
Like seeing just the friendly interactions and you know, this is playing for a lot of money, right? Our first place prize is just shy of $250,000, $245,000 for our first place prize. But still, it's a cool experience to get to play under the bright lights here. It's a really, really nice setup back in the corner of the poker room here at the Borgata. So I hope that everyone, and it seemed like everyone has enjoyed their time on the feature table here, on the final table here at the Spring Poker Open, and you know, it's nice to see. So it's, you know, even as serious as it is, as much money as we're playing for, still having some fun, some banter back and forth, because at the end of the day, you know, money is certainly important. Money is money, but you know, you should be enjoying what you're doing as well.
Yeah, a lot of these guys probably spend hours together at the tables leading up to this final table, so it's fun to have that camaraderie. Get a 3-bet out of the small blind from ace-4 suited.
Yep, we have Bobby open the ace-9 offsuit from the cutoff. Ace-4 from Doug, good enough for $360,000. We are going to get a call from Bobby here. We're going to get a heads-up flop. We also saw the ace-4 in the big blind fold from Mike Walker. King 8-5. 2 spades and a heart, so no flush draw possibilities. Some backdoor opportunities depending on the turn for some straight chances, some straight draws.
Yeah, this feels like a really nice hand to kind of just blast off with triple barrel.
3-bet, C-bet. I don't know if we're going to be needing a triple barrel here.
Call me crazy, but yeah. Yeah, ace-9 off, although in position, just...
In position and ahead, but Bobby not folding right away. Taking a look here.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to call the 3-bet with ace-9 off and you get the tiny bet on the flop, you got to be at least somewhat enticed to continue, but he lets it go. Probably would have continued with the spade, I'd imagine.
Again, another chip up for Doug Klevitz, up to 6.3, almost 6.35 million chips, and even more closing the gap with our chip leader, Joe the Foote. And for Bobby Thomas, a little bit of a hit. Still on 1.2 million, more than 20 big blinds.
Yeah.
And you can see, as you mentioned before, the blinds coming around again. Ricardo, our short stack, on 11 big blinds, and we'll be back in the big blind with the big blind ante in just a couple hands.
Semi-line. I caught it.
Bobby,
Semi-line, semi.
going to be very aware of his stack placement versus our short stack here as we
Yeah.
continue, because we're looking at from 7th to 6th, an $8,000 pay jump of real money, $8,500 pay jump of real money, as well as coming back tomorrow for the conclusion final table stream here at the Borgata with the chance to win the 2 trophies that we'll see in the background, the classic Borgata Hotel, Casino, and Spa trophy, as well as the sharp, crisp BetMGM Poker trophy.
Oh, sorry.
Joe the Foote with the King-Jack raise folds to our blinds.
Yeah, Bobby's not going to be trying to get into too many big confrontations until Ricardo doubles up or gets out of there.
And a King-10 off from the big blind for Todd. good enough that we'll see a lot of defends, but not a hand that you really, really want to mix it up with the short stack too much.
Yeah, especially against early position, these offsuit hands shrivel up quite quickly, and I kind of like the fold, honestly.
It's a really weird spot, and when we had Jordy on before, he was talking about some of the ICM pressure and the impact of every chip mattering versus dollar value, and the King 10 is a very strong hand in a lot of cases, but in this spot, it just shrinks a bit versus the early position aggression there, and having again Ricardo on 11 big blinds about to go into those bigs and posting 2 more.
Right. Looks like people in the chat are asking about the playing down to 6. Yes, that is confirmed, and we'll be starting likely around 12:30 tomorrow. So make sure you tune in for the final table of 6 remaining once we get there.
It'll be 6 barring a double knockout, which we've had leading into streamed tables before in earlier series. And as of right now, the estimate, depending on how late we played tonight, my understanding is we're looking at about 12 to 12:15 cards in the air. So that would be a 12:30 to 12:45 stream start on the same 30-minute delay.
Yeah, if this is like a 2 a.m. finish, maybe we'll let them sleep a little bit more.
Well, it's not our decision. I would love to be the person making the call. The collective we.
Yes, representing the...
Fareed with the King 9 of diamonds going to open to 120,000 here. Joe gonna defend the big blind with the 7-5 offsuit, and with the chip stack, more than enough to want to see a flop here, more than connected enough.
Absolutely.
Ace 6-2, no pair, some backdoor draws for Joe. The King High backdoor flush draw, but the pre-flop aggression for Fareed. And I think we just saw him get some change, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, gotcha. That wasn't a bet.
And if that was him getting change, that was him getting change to put in this bet of 195,000, which is going to be enough to take down the pot.
Pretty big bet there, right? About 2/3.
If I've got a naked ace, there's not too many draws. You're not going to have too many things that are going to be calling that are going to be looking to improve a whole lot. So if you've got your strong ace, you're using a larger sizing anyways, a lot of the time targeting kind of some of those weaker aces. So I like the size up, and it also, as long as we're some level of consistent with that for Fareed, and I imagine we would see something similar given the experience that he has.
Right.
Pocket 4s for Fareed, laying out some chips.
10 seconds.
See if we do get the open. Does not. Goes into the mucking. Early position, certainly don't mind it. Just as we saw him laying out chips, I'm not surprised, but we've seen him lay out chips and come with the open up quite a few times today.
Yeah, I like the fold there.
Of course. King 10 for Mike Walker in the cutoff. Suited, King 10 of clubs is going to be enough for an open here. 130,000 from Mike.
Yeah, Ricardo in the big blind, so potentially a big hand here for the rest of the table.
King Queen for Joe in the small blind. We've seen some 3-bets from him in the blinds already. We saw, I think it might have been a big blind 3-bet just an orbit or two ago. King Queen off, we are going to get a raise here again. Looks like 400,000 for Joe the Foote. And the kind of class hand with the chip stack, with the chip depth, puts a huge amount of pressure on Ricardo to have it. Never getting any folds behind that. But also a hand that doesn't play quite as well offsuit out of position and gets to put pressure on Mike here as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't even really hate the flat pre-flop either, just because you can still put a lot of aggression post-flop and have a lot of leads and spots that might be unintuitive, but yeah.
But with Ricardo's stack behind, I think that allows Ricardo to get in cheap or squeeze, and neither of which are. I assume he would be calling the King Queen, but
right, it just over 10 big blinds.
King 10 of King 10 of clubs going to flop a king high flush draw on the ace 3-3 flop. Joe ahead with the king queen kicker currently playing is going to c-bet here. Mike with the king high flush draw facing 275,000 chip bet into a pot before the bet of about just over 900,000 chips.
Yeah, presumably a lot of the 3-bets are going to include an ace, so I'm not sure if you would want to check raise a hand like this.
Well, he's in position, so he's just facing the...
Or yeah, not
bet.
a check raise, but just raise the hand in general.
5 of diamonds on the turn. No change to our current status. Joe still ahead with the king-queen high. Mike in position with the king high flush draw. It does get checked from Joe.
Pretty quick check as well. Wonder if Mike's going to read into that at all and see if he can get him off something.
Take the pot with some aggression here, but he chooses to check back.
Yeah, I think it's kind of easy to put Joe on a hand that might be just like a pair lower than the ace or, you know, something like king-queen high.
2 of diamonds on the river gives Joe the check mark. Mike check called the flop. Checking back the turn, I'm curious to see if Joe thinks he might actually have the showdown value. Now if he might need to bluff, if he might need to put in what he might think as a bluff here on the river.
Yeah, and thinking about the bluffs that he could have here.
This hand?
Yeah, pretty much. He decides to use it as well.
We are going to see. It looks to be a pretty good size up. I believe we're going to be over $1 million on this from off the eyeball. 1.15 million in the bet here on the river. I think he's doing this as a bluff, but he's bluffing with the best hand.
Yeah, this is definitely a bluff, trying to potentially fold out one of those pocket pairs that I mentioned, or I don't know, clubs maybe, like this.
Well, he wouldn't need to fold out too many of the clubs, right? We're not going to have too many of the 5s or the 2s.
Right. I guess just folding out clubs that might bluff you potentially doesn't hurt.
The value bet bluff, not necessary, does get the fold from Mike. Pot goes over to Joe the Foote, 7.5 million in chips as our chip leader extends the gap back a little bit more on Doug Klevitz. You can see our 2 chip stacks at the top. 125 big blinds and 106 big blinds as we continue here at the Spring Poker Open Championship at the Borgata in Atlantic City. The 2026 Spring Poker Open powered by BetMGM. Final table of the main event, a $2,700 buy-in with up to $245,000 for first place, plus a pair of trophies that we see a quick glimpse of there in the background behind the table.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get a better glimpse of them tomorrow when we maybe put them on the table for the heads up. Like to get those shining in the light for the heads up matches.
Oh, absolutely. And we see a couple of the Footes come through in chat after Joe the Foote takes them down.
The Footes are coming out. Oh yeah, I see all the emojis in the chat.
Action going to fold to Ricardo in the small blind, under 10 blinds with the king 4. We saw something similar from him here with a little bit more. No resistance, nothing for Bobby Thomas to call, and very needed chips for Ricardo.
Oh yeah.
Back up to that 11 big blinds.
Picked up like 20% of his stack. That's a big all-in.
Yep, 11 big blinds as you can see, and just kind of staying afloat. We've seen, again, very, very similar. It might have been exactly king 4, might have been king 3 earlier that we saw an all-in from Ricardo in the small blind. I want to say it was 11 big blinds with the king 3 in the small blind. Again, similarly, just stack maintenance, keeping that stack healthy for as these big blinds come around, the big blind ante comes around, and the hopeful double up being off of 11, 12, 13 big blinds instead of 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, it makes the value of the double up just so much more.
Serious business over here. Serious business over here.
Kinda.
Just a little 250 ball, right?
Be nice.
Kinda. Just kinda serious.
Having some fun with it.
125,000.
We see the open from Doug under the gun here with the ace-5 offsuit. From the deeper stack, you know, we haven't seen a whole lot of this from Doug, so certainly don't mind him using those chips to get a little aggressive.
Definitely a hand you want to do it with, too. The ace is just such a good card to have at final tables. Just
The high card value.
Yeah, reduces the chances that you get 3-bet behind.
And Joe gonna set mine his deuces in the cutoff here. And Fareed with a jack deuce in the big blind. Joe obviously can't see that, but will hate to see that one of his deuces is out. A suited jack 2 for Fareed.
Yeah, for 50 big blinds.
Gonna give it up. It's one of those, you know, taking suited cards multi-way, defending the big blind with the big blind ante is an option that some will take. And the Queen 9-3 board with 2 diamonds would have been a Fareed flop.
Yeah, I don't know how happy you would have been, though, if you just get infinite action multi-way, and then you just have the jack-high flush for 50 big blinds. Like, do you really want to get that all in there?
We're going to go check on the flop, 6 of hearts in the turn. The pair of 2s for Joe the Foote still in the lead. Doug, the original aggressor, going to check again.
Yeah, pretty hard to be comfortable with the 2s, obviously.
Going to go check again. We're going to the river. King of hearts on the river. Option back to Doug. We haven't seen aggression from him yet. Looks like it is going to go check. The 2s are going to be good for Joe. And maybe a little bit of info back and forth here. Not a whole lot of aggression there, but no real incentive for them to tangle.
You could hear that comment at the end there. You could have value bet those versus the ace high. That would have been pretty next level.
That would have been a fun one on the river. Just one big blind with the deuces on the river. Get the extra big out of that 1.5 bigs.
Yeah, I don't know what would be sicker. I mean, it's got to be the bet. The better the call, the bet would be sicker. Right?
I mean, you're not folding an ace for one big blind there.
It's a sketchy. I don't know.
It's a weird one, but like,
there's a lot of like bad pair hands that could value that.
Yeah,
pretty happily.
I guess I'm looking at it from an online history where people will do that and just click one big blind as just a button click.
Right. Yeah.
And it could be literally any 2 cards. It could be a 7 deuce offsuit right there, and just why not one?
Anytime they have something worse than like king high, they just click the bet.
Because nothing feels better than the one big blind bluff getting through.
Oh, it's glorious.
Action is going to fold to Bobby Thomas on the button. Not a whole lot to join here. So Fareed with the king 5 in the small blind. Facing the big stack in the big blind. Let's see how Fareed chooses to play this. Just going to be a walk.
Yeah.
So very, very interesting with Fareed here. When he has the chip advantage in the blind versus blind, we've seen a lot of aggression. Not really interested playing out of position offsuit hands against one of our 2 big stacks here, and I certainly understand that.
Yeah, and I think people would be surprised by a lot of the types of hands that you kind of do have to fold there in the small blind when you're covered. I mean, obviously you're going to be really protected because even your strongest hands like queens, kings, aces are probably going to want to limp even too. So you can play a wide range, but it's not 80% of hands like it would be at a normal scenario.
Here's Todd looking down at pocket 9s under the gun, right on just a smidge over 25 big blinds. We're going to get a raise to 130. It's going to fold over to Doug in the small blind, who has pocket 5s. Our big blind is on 40 bigs, so a little bit interesting, a little bit too much to maybe do any kind of any kind of rip here.
Yeah, that was exactly just looking at the stack behind in the big blind. 40 bigs, too deep to rip behind, and the big blind having pocket nines as well.
This is fun. We have 5s, 9s, and 9s. Mike Walker also going to come along here.
Yeah, probably a bit too thin to squeeze here, I would imagine, and you're just too deep to just like squeeze jam.
Yeah, as deep as we are, if we were shallower, I think we might have seen a little bit of different action here. Now the 10-7-3 rainbow board, some backdoor straights for everybody. No flush gonna happen with our current hands. It's gonna check back to Todd, our original raiser, who is gonna c-bet 175,000 into the 450,000 pot. So a little bit below half pot, maybe 35-40% range, if my just very basic math.
Yeah, under the gun,
correct.
going to want to bet probably a decent amount of the range just because they're early position. They have a lot of strong hands.
Now this is an interesting one here because we get the peel from the 5s.
Wow.
The 9s are gonna then fold. So it now heads up with the 9s of Todd's under the gun raised against the 5s from the small
my
blind.
Lord.
And the set of 5s on the turn
Just pure
for
chaos.
Doug Klevitz right here. So I think if Doug folds the flop, the 9s are gonna peel.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting spot for Todd. I imagine he's just going to check back.
15 bigs behind. Doing a little bit of math, seeing what he wants to do. You can see the check mark next to Doug because there are no 9s left in the deck with Mike having folded them from the big blind. Jack of Hearts on the river does bring in the 9-8 straight. We do see that hearts come in. Doug with the set of 5s in the small blind, having been checked back to him. We have to think he'll put something out here. It's just going to be a matter of how much.
Yeah, and this is an interesting hand for Todd to kind of hero call with. Blocking
380?
Blocking the 9-8 suiteds. The 9 of hearts is pretty important, I would say.
Yeah. It's 380 into 800K, so just under half pot.
Yeah. 10x probably not betting this, so I would say it's a jack or better.
Jack 10, yeah, there's hands that'll go for value below a flush here based on action. And pocket 5s is certainly one of them. A little sneaky set in here.
Yeah, maybe not expecting pocket 5s to end up here too much. Potentially folding with one player to act behind on the flop.
Counting out some chips, definitely not an instant fold here for Todd. But the 9s can't feel really, really good right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame a call for Todd here. I mean, this is kind of a nice hand to do it with. But you also have to make sure that your opponent is bluffing the correct amount. And what bluffs would he have here?
Is it an ace-7 bluff, something along those lines? You have an ace-7 suited, maybe? I'm just thinking what might be. And we are going to get a call. And he'll see the bad news with the turn set. That is certainly one of the hands that'll go for value here on the river. And sees the bad news. Doug Klevitz up over 7 million himself to 7.1.
Through sheriff turn.
Todd to 830K. You can see just under 15 bigs on his end, and getting close to that dangerous zone. Real close to Ricardo on 11 bigs, and Bobby Thomas under 20 as well. So we're kind of getting a little bit of the separation that we weren't seeing earlier today.
Oh yeah, this is a huge inequality in the stacks here.
Everyone's thinking that
130, 120, and 11 and 14.
Continue here, 7-handed with Lash in the box.
You're the man. I'm number 2.
Hand 99 of our stream today, I believe, as we see in the top right corner.
Fareed and Doug showing some love between each other, I think.
Sometimes you need to hit the final turn.
Oh, and pocket queens for Ricardo off of the short stack. 11 big blinds. I mean, this hand is so good that you might be able to min raise here, but he chooses just to go all in. He'll take the fold equity, pick up some chips as he's about to be in the big blind once again. Put in 2 big blinds, under 20K. And yeah, it gets the folds all around. Probably wouldn't have gotten action from a min raise from the big blind anyways, so.
Lines, please. You gotta run away.
That'll buy Ricardo some breathing room as he picks up a mystery hand here under the gun. He's been taking his time with all of his decisions, but
Fold.
finds the fold. Queen 8 suited, it looked like. Yeah, that's close, but I like the fold.
10 seconds. Fold. Fold.
Doug with 4-5 suited. A pretty hand to open with, but he decides to fold. Doesn't want to battle with Joe in the big blind, who is the other 130 big blind stack at the table.
130.
Pretty insane that we can be at a final table and have 2 stacks above 120 big blinds. But that's a shout out to the great structures at BetMGM, Borgata. Players can choose their spots to navigate.
70 more.
As Mike chooses the queen jack off on the button. Joe with a very nice hand to
You did.
defend with.
So what do I need?
130.
You owe 70
Right.
or put in, yeah. There you go.
Right.
No, 10 more.
10.
Slight
Do better next
confusion
street, everybody.
Yeah, well, you know.
about the bet size, but we got it squared away thanks to our great dealers. And the ace 6-3 flop, Mike whiffs it, but the ace 5 flop's going to be better for him, and will likely be able to take it down with a C bet, unless Joe wants to get creative with his backdoor flush draw, which he decides against.
We are going on, I believe, a 15-minute break here, maybe just shy of 15 minutes. As you can see, our chip count here as we end our most recent level at the Borgata Spring Poker Open, powered by BetMGM Poker, down here in Atlantic City, New Jersey, at the Borgata Casino Hotel and Spa. The final table, playing down to our last 6 of the main event championship. Again, we'll be back in just shy of 15 minutes here in Atlantic City. We'll catch up after this break as we continue for one more elimination this evening.
Don't go anywhere.
All right, everyone, the button has been drawn to seat 5. Dealers, shuffle up and deal. Good luck, everyone.
Legendary. It's seeing your third Vegas sunrise in a row. Proving you're right, or giving it to your friend who's always wrong. Meeting your hero?
What's up, fellas?
Legendary. Or meeting someone else's hero. Hitting a jackpot from your subway seat. Or how about this? Front row seats. A story you'll tell for the rest of your lives. Or a secret spot that you'll tell everyone about tomorrow. Whatever makes it legendary for you, it can all happen here. BetMGM. Make it legendary.
All right, everyone, the button has been drawn to seat 5. Dealers, shuffle up and deal. Good luck, everyone.
Legendary. It's seeing your third Vegas sunrise in a row. Proving you're right, or giving it to your friend who's always wrong. Meeting your hero?
What's up, fellas?
Legendary. Or meeting someone else's hero. Hitting a jackpot from your subway seat. Or how about this? Front row seats. A story you'll tell for the rest of your lives. Or a secret spot that you'll tell everyone about tomorrow. Whatever makes it legendary for you, it can all happen here. BetMGM. Make it legendary.
All right, everyone, the button has been drawn to seat 5. Dealers, shuffle up and deal. Good luck, everyone.
Hello and welcome back to the Borgata Casino Hotel and Spa in Atlantic City, New Jersey. We're back as we continue the final table action of the 2026 Spring Borgata Poker Open powered by BetMGM Poker's main event championship. $2,700 buy-in. We have 7 players left. We're playing down to 6. We've been with 7 for quite a while here. We're coming back with a couple short stacks. I'm Matt McNeil, Whitesmith the Blacksmith, to many people throughout the online world, joined by David Two Flame Kinane. As we come back to 7-handed play, we got Billy in the box. Cards are in the air. As we continue, again, playing down to 6 players left tonight. Got a couple stacks right in that 10 to 12, 15, 16 big blind range here, as we can see. So throughout the evening, we've had a little bit deeper of stacks. We're now in a position where we had said before, any hand could be the last hand of the night. And we come back with a couple stacks kind of really in that shove range. So we could be done in an hour, we could be done in 4 hours, we could be done in 1 hand or 4 hands.
Yeah, probably sooner rather than later, given that the blinds are up to 80,000. We have 2 to 3 short stacks, so I think the chances that we see these all-ins are going to just go up from here.
We're going to see Mike Walker off of a little over 30 big blinds, going to raise the King-Jack offsuit from the cutoff. It's going to fold to Todd Lewis, is going to fold the King-8 suited on the button, and it's going to fold to Ricardo in the big blind with the King-5 of diamonds. Interesting spot. Ricardo, our short stack right now, very close to both, Todd, our short stack. Ricardo, very close to both Todd and Bobby Thomas with his stack, is going to defend. King-5 of diamonds for Ricardo, King-Jack offsuit for Mike, a 9-4-4 rainbow flop, 1 diamond for Ricardo. We are going to get a check, and Mike with the big stack, with the other bigger stack, with the other small stacks here, you could bet 1 big blind, 1.5, quarter pot, something in that range.
Absolutely.
A lot of the time.
I think it would work as well. He just decides to go all in.
He is going to just pile. Also, very, very reasonable, reasonable outcome, and is going to get the fold from Ricardo here. Just no nonsense. Again, the small stacks kind of clumped together in that, as you can see, 7.5, 8.5, 13 big blind range. There is a lot of incentive, $8,500 worth of incentive to make it to at least 6th place tomorrow. That's the pay jump. Our players have $35,000 and a little bit of change locked up currently. That will be the 7th place payout, and making tomorrow will lock up a minimum of $43,500. So a very significant pay jump, and they're only going to get bigger as we continue here, 7-handed in the main event championship final table here at the Borgata in Atlantic City.
Yeah, as a reminder, these players battling for just under $250,000.
And 2 trophies for first place.
Not just 1. 2.
Fareed with the ace-8 under the gun, gonna open here, it looks like.
175 is the best.
Yeah, he has some things working for him, but Joe in the button being able to flat a lot of hands, given how deep he is quite intimidating. However, the other big stack is...
As we see Doug here picks up
wow, yeah.
ace king of spades, and we're going to get some aggression here. Looks like 550, 560, if my eyes are accurate.
Yeah, and this is under the gun versus +1, so tighter ranges, but you would have to imagine that Doug's going to attack this a little bit wider than ace-king suited, being the big stack.
You would certainly think so, but obviously we can see the cards. And wow, ace-queen offsuit on the button for our chip leader, Joe the Foote.
Yeah, and honestly, as I alluded to before, early positions, this is kind of a very awkward spot for ace-queen. I like this fold.
Yeah, not the stack that he wants to tangle with right now.
Oh, absolutely not.
And again, the under the gun versus under the gun 1 action, very disciplined here from Joe. You can certainly make an argument for a 4-bet in some cases. I don't really like a flat in that spot, so it's pretty much a 4-bet fold in a lot of cases in my mind. And I do like him getting out of the way here, and Fareed will also quickly get out of the way as Doug chips up to about 7.5. It looks like exactly 7.5 million chips, and neck and neck, less than 1 big blind separates Doug Klevitz and Joe the Foote.
Yeah, the 2 big stacks jousting at the top. All eyes are on the small stacks, though.
Some questions in the chat here. How many runners did this tournament have? 572 entrants. Total prize pool of just shy of $1.4 million, with just shy of 250,000 of that going to our first place finisher here. The stream starting tomorrow. cards should go in the air right around noon. Pretty common as the setup and production as we've seen. Pretty common for the cards to get in the air between 12:15 for the start of the day. And the stream will be starting 30 minutes after cards go live. So we should be live somewhere between 12:30 and 12:45 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, it should be exciting to get to witness the rest of this battle.
Yeah, and with the fall champion being knocked out a little bit earlier at this final table, we will have, since we've been doing the commentary together, we will have a third unique main event champion.
That's right. 6-5 offsuit from Joe in the cutoff.
And able to put as much pressure as he would like on with the small stacks behind, and then the medium stack from Farid.
Yeah, Doug with the huge stack already folded, so has some free reign to get crazy. 6-5 offsuit's out there, though.
No, not at all. That's going to be pretty close to a range open given the stack sizes.
A range open from the cutoff?
Why not? Look at the stack sizes.
Yeah, certainly. I think there's
two stacks under 10 bigs, and you're going to get a huge amount of folds from Farid in the big blind. You're going to get very, very little resistance.
Hey, listen, I'm for it. I'm just saying you might not see that 6-5-0 on a chart.
Chart smart.
Chart smart.
We got a little shout out, a little love for Billy in the box. We have Billy the Goat in the box. Our dealer Billy here, as you can see. I wouldn't call him handsome, but a very well-liked, very friendly, outgoing gentleman here from my neighboring hometown. We went to the neighboring high schools and have people in common. Shout out to Billy.
Joe from the hijack. This time with the actual big stack in the big blind, and that's not going to deter him. He opens the King Deuce suited.
Queen 10 for Ricardo in the cutoff into the muck. Ace 8 for Farid in the small blind. This is very, very much just stack size poker right there. Zero reason to even consider anything for Farid in that position with that hand. And another pot for Joe as he chips up just shy of 8 million in chips.
Yeah, Todd has one more hand before entering the big blind and getting closer to Ricardo again. I think some confrontations on the horizon.
Yeah, we're gonna be seeing a couple of these smaller stacks putting in a significant chunk of their chips, being forced to put a significant chunk of their chips in the next couple hands.
Yeah, they're kind of just going to be gifted opportunities, especially when the big blind hits them, to just call a pre-flop raise and realize so much equity for a good price. It's very likely stacks get in.
Yeah, we'll certainly see some type of collision soon. How large it is, how it ends, we'll certainly find out. But with these stack sizes, it'll be soon enough. You see Todd under the gun off of about 8.5 big blinds, and you'll see 2 of those go in next hand, short of anything happening here. Now here's a weird spot for Ricardo, the short stack, Queen 10 of hearts. I like that. Probably a little bit too early. It's right at that edge. It's a weird one.
Yeah, I think that feels so close.
It's one of those that as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, that could go. And I was like, wait, I don't think I want hijack the Queen 10 right there. I don't know. He's done very, very well with those kings in the small blind, finding those chip ups to kind of stay afloat, and that's kind of allowed passing on some of those questionable spots. I think that's going to be very, very close.
Yeah, I probably would end up finding a jam there, but can't blame him for passing on it, given how short the other stacks are.
And we see the King 8 in the big blind. How that would have been under 7 bigs, maybe 6 bigs. It might have been a call from Mike here. We are going to get a limp from the small blind, a check to the flop from Mike Walker in the big blind. 9-7-4 rainbow board here, no pair for anybody. The King high from Mike is currently ahead. Doug going to check the Queen 3 here as well.
Yeah, King 8 suited would have been close versus the jam.
It would have been very, very close. Jack of hearts, no change, a gut shot for Mike. Still the queen high from Doug is behind the king high of Mike in the big blind. And not a huge incentive for Mike to collide. Would have been a little interesting to see Doug put a little aggression out because Mike is going to be folding a huge amount of things. The king on the river does give Mike the top pair. And now I don't think Mike's going away. I mean, we're not going to get anything crazy. We're not going to get a 10x pot rip here. And Mike, with the pair of kings on the river, maybe thinks about what, can we throw in a big blind? Throw in
Yeah, I think your hand's definitely
125.
worth
There
a
we
bet
go.
here.
125,000 from Mike, and just going to take that one down. And not a groundbreaking change, but as we were talking before, some of the smaller stacks staying afloat. Even just as simple as getting the big blind and the big blind ante back when you were posting is gonna matter a lot as we go along, especially potentially into tomorrow as well. Just for some of these middle-sized stacks to potentially keep you above or keep you afloat if someone's not able to. If someone's not able to defend or is losing those big blinds will add up very, very quickly. For right now, what looks to be Mike and Fareed's stack size.
Yeah, and it adds up super quickly for the short stacks. It's going to be like 25% of these guys' entire stack once the big blind and big blind ante hits them.
We have Joe under the gun with the king jack off. If we're seeing the 6-5 and the king 2 open, I'm assuming we're going to see the king jack, and he's reaching for some chips. And we are going to get the same 180. A very, very quick all-in from Ricardo with the kings.
Wow.
Very, very easy, and that's why you fold the queen 10. You find the spot here, and Ricardo now all in a dominating position against the initial pre-flop aggression.
Yeah, and Joe going to be priced in to call with essentially any hand here.
We have Doug on the button. The cards look to be in the box, but we don't see what Doug has right now.
Yeah, maybe Doug considering trying to also call here and get a better odds of Ricardo getting in the knockout.
Knowing that Joe has no incentive to ISO short of absolute premiums, Joe can flat a little wider than we could see in some other positions in the tournament if they're really just going to be looking for this ICM, or excuse me, for this ladder for the knockout to try and take our action tomorrow. We get the call from Doug. It's going to fold back to Joe, and even still, very, very much going to be priced in here. I would expect we'll go three-way to the flop here. We don't. He does fold it with just a couple bigs. The ace-10 for Doug, ace-10 of hearts, pocket kings for Ricardo. All in and end at risk, but ahead. One king removed, so the 60% does factor in the king folded by Joe the Foote.
Yeah, when you have kings and you see ace-10 suited as 40%, you're a little bit disgusted. And
10 on the flop, a backdoor heart. Only an ace of 10 will send Ricardo to the rail. Otherwise, he's looking at nearly a triple up. Wow,
Oh
wow.
my.
The 10 on the river is going to send Ricardo to the rail here. The knockout for Doug Klevitz. Ricardo, I'm going to try it once. Eyzaguirre out in 7th place here at the Spring Poker Open at the Borgata, powered by BetMGM Poker in Atlantic City, New Jersey. That's a mean way to end a fantastic run. I'm not sure if it's going to be the end of the series, but a fantastic series either way for Ricardo. $35,000 and just a little bit of change here as we see for 7th place at the Spring Poker Open Championship.
yeah, he played well and navigated well. Unfortunately, he just got unlucky at the end. I mean, he showed some patience with the queen 10 suited hand, just trying to fold and wait for better, and he got rewarded and then instantly punished.
Instantly punished.
Hate to see it.
We are going to be, as you see, wrapping up. We're going to a final table of 6 tomorrow. As you see our chip count as we head into the last 6 for the final table continuation in the championship here. Our chip leader will be Doug Klevitz, second in chip Joe Foote, third Mike Walker, fourth Fareed Jatin, fifth in chips Bobby Thomas, sixth Todd Lewis. As we head into to close the night into the final table tomorrow, we should be back around 12:30, 12:45 p.m. Eastern for the conclusion of the Spring Poker Open Championships main event powered by BetMGM Poker. We will be back. I'm Matt McNeil, Whitesmith the Blacksmith, with David Two Flame Kinane signing off for the evening. We'll see you tomorrow.